Ainsi va la vie, c'est ainsi va la vie, 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 ainsi va la vie. Yeah.
Welcome everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Thank you so much to Clémence Bradley and the Alliance Française for sponsoring this panel today. My name is Nellie Beckett. I'm here with Cece Cal and Kathy Wheeler, who are here today to talk about their experiences as Francophone women in the film industry here in Atlanta. I'd like to thank the Alliance again for their support. You can find more about their programming, including events, meetups, film screenings, and language classes at afatl.com. We'd also like to thank the support of our snack sponsor, Lesser Evil, who makes us delicious popcorn. Make sure you get some popcorn next time you're at the movies here at the Alliance or elsewhere. And speaking of, we hope you join us on April 5th at the Terra Theater at 2:30 p.m. for the very first Atlanta French Film Festival. It's going to be $12, $6 for students, and there's programs for everyone, for the whole family. Programs for children, as well as a wide variety of Francophone film all afternoon. So for more information, again, that's afatl.com or atlantafrenchfilm.com. So thanks again for being here today. This is going to be a conversation with our actresses. I'd love to start. If you could each tell us a little bit about yourselves and how your careers started as actresses. Sissy, would you like to start?
Sure. Okay. My career started, I would say, in 2009. I used to live in Las Vegas back then. I moved to the US in September 2004 and lived in Las Vegas. And my first experience was a very short independent movie over there. I was cast actually as a French woman, interestingly enough. And that's how I started. Acting has been a childhood dream of mine since I don't remember how old I was, but it's been a childhood dream. But I've never really took the steps in France to start anything. I'm a child of immigrants, and back then we didn't see any immigrants on TV, and so I didn't dare. It was just it stayed a dream. If you were not the son or the daughter of the grandson or the cousin of someone in the business, you could not break in. So I was like, forget about it. And then of course life took over. And fast forward, when we moved to the US, my husband and I, in 2004, 2009 was my first experience. I loved it. So I started taking classes. The fun fact is, the way I started taking classes, that my husband was coming back from work. He heard a commercial online. It was this talent agency or talent, was John Robert Powers. He heard this commercial saying that they were looking for actors and actresses, and he said, he got home and he said, you have to go to audition for the thing. And I said, what thing? And he couldn't remember the name. So we're like, forget it. He heard it a second time, and this time he put the name on. And I said, well, I'll go only if you go with me. So he came with me. My husband is not an actor. And because he knew that it was my dream, I'm very blessed to have a very supportive husband. So he came with me to the audition and I was selected. It wasn't like a hard selection. I mean, from what I'm understanding now, but anyways, I was selected and I started taking classes and I enjoyed it. I wanted to believe that I had some natural talent and I kept doing it. I started taking classes there. And then when I did my whole round of Las Vegas coaches, there weren't any more challenging left for me. Living in Las Vegas, I met someone who knew about a school in Los Angeles. He told me about it and I'm like, okay, let's try that. And while I was living in Las Vegas, I had a full-time job, 9 to 5, I was a customer rep in a phone company. And I was working Monday to Friday. And every Sunday for 9 months, I would travel from Las Vegas to Los Angeles in the morning. I would leave Las Vegas at 8 a.m., drive 4 hours, take class, I have lunch, and then take class from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. And I would drive back to Las Vegas. So 8 hours of drive in one day to take classes. And that's how committed I was. And I did that for 9 months. So that was my, I'm going to say that was my start. I mean, and then it continued, but that was my start and continuum of how I started in the industry.
Thank you so much, Cece. Kathy Wheeler, please tell us more about how you started as an actress.
Yeah, so first we did the military life with my husband. So I arrived here in 1993, started in Texas, Maryland, and we went overseas, came back to overseas, and we ended up in Germany. Then from then we found out we were coming to Atlanta, Georgia, and that's when I started to hear there was stuff happening in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was thinking, well, that sounds nice that we could be, working on set as background. A lot of people were talking about that. So that was my goal already from Germany. I said, as soon as I get there, I'm gonna hit it, and we'll see how that goes. And my son started to work also with me on set, and little by little, you start to meet more people, right? So I went to a casting call for background with Bill Marinetta Casting, and that's where I met my friend Becky Holt. And from there, everything started. She got me to meet so many people. And then slowly but surely, I started to learn how you get further beyond the background actor, how you can work on short films or whatever you want to do, or make your own for that matter. And but what resonates the most is that the first thing you have to do is taking classes.
Yes.
You can start with your headshots if you want to or whatever, but first is taking classes. There's no other way around it, because then you have to see if you like it, and then you submit yourself to self-submit, to a bunch of different things. So that's how it started.
So you've both started in other states, other areas of the country, but you've both found careers here in Atlanta. Could you speak a little bit to how the Atlanta acting scene is unique for you?
Well,
Go ahead.
yeah, for me, it was a blessing. I was, so after Las Vegas, my husband, knowing that I was traveling, asked me, why don't we move to Los Angeles? So I said, yeah, why don't we? And then, long story short, we moved to LA. We arrived, I think was early January or February 2011. And arriving in Los Angeles, the first year I was paralyzed with fear. I was like, oh my God, the child of an immigrant in France. I'm an immigrant here myself. I'm, I don't know, 25 plus years old. I mean, at the time I was even older than that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I'm in Hollywood. I'm at the steps of the Hollywood thing, and I was paralyzed. I couldn't take any classes. I had this, self-sabotaging and the fear, it paralyzed me. So for a year, I didn't do anything. And then I was like, come on, we moved here for that, right? So after a year, I started taking classes. I went to the Ivana Chubbuck studio, which was a well-known studio, just like you were saying, training. So I think I want to believe that I made smart moves because I didn't have the resume. I had to put names on my training. So, of course, I researched the names of those coaches and I studied with them. At one point, I was taking classes in 2 different places, Ivana Chubbuck studio and Eric Morris. And then I took classes for 2 years without auditioning because I was terrified by the auditioning process as well. So 2 classes, and then after 2 years, I was like, okay. And then it took me 2 years to understand the business side of the art because no one really talks about it. You train as an actress, but there's also the whole business side of things. So for another 2 years, I was like, how do I get in? And then finally, I took my courage, and in 2016, I created an Actors Access account. put my name down, and I started auditioning for all the student films. And within 8 to 9 months, I auditioned, got cast, shot, learned a lot on set, and did my own website and had a very good demo reel. And then I started with that to find an agent, which was not an easy task. You know, LA is like so saturated, right? But I still found my first agent based in San Diego. They were brand new, but they believed in me, so they signed me up. So I got some momentum, and then I was with them for a while. I mean, for a short while, and nothing really was happening, but you know, I was happy. And then friends in 2017 told us about Atlanta. I had no idea of moving out of LA. I was settled, we were living our life, I was doing my thing. And a couple friends told us about the Atlanta market. And I was like, yeah, let's check it out. So I remember they told us in April 2017, we came to visit Atlanta at the end of June for a week, and we loved it. We love the city, we love the people, we love the greenery, we love the fact that the industry was. What I loved also about it, what I've learned throughout the years is here, you can have a career and a family. And whereas in LA, I felt like I had no choice but to do my acting career. And there was no, because it's so expensive. And here I felt like I could have it all. So before even I moved to Atlanta, and the week we visited Atlanta, I had scheduled, I reached out to all the agents and all the managers that I knew were here. And I got an agent and a manager. So I was like, okay, this is a sign. And then my husband got laid off in May. I'm like, okay, this is the other sign.
Right.
Because I've been able to focus on my acting career fully since 2012, if I remember correctly. My husband supporting us financially. So he got laid off. So I was like, okay, there's nothing holding us in LA. So within 3 months, we were gone. We arrived in July or August of 2017. And I had an agent, I had a manager, I had, you know, strong training from LA, a demo reel and all, and, you know, headshots. And within less than 2 years, I accomplished more than what I could have accomplished in LA in 5 years, from my perspective. And I'm very niche. As you can hear, I have an accent, I can do an American accent, but people believed in me, and it was the start. And Atlanta has been really, really good to me. I can share more later, but that's yeah, Atlanta has definitely picked up my career. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's more to say, but I'm happy we did the move. And yeah, the industry itself here compared to LA as well is more welcoming, more authentic, more collaborative, really wanting genuinely to help each other, which in LA we didn't have that. It was more competitive and cutthroat, and that's how I felt. Not authentic at all, personal, or, you know, if you cannot help, they don't even look at you. Here, I felt that it was completely different. So I'm very happy that life brought us to Atlanta for sure. Yeah.
That's wonderful to hear, Cece. Kathy, could you speak a little bit about your experience acting here in Atlanta?
Yeah, so I don't have anything to compare it with, like she has the experience over there. I arrived here, and that's all I knew, because back in my country, in Belgium, I've never did anything as far as film industry and stuff. And throughout all the travels between Texas, Maryland, and living in Italy 2 times, and then in Germany, we were busy traveling or taking care of the kids, and we were on base, and then voila. So, but then we arrived here, like I said, in summer 2018, and that's when I started to find out about everything. But I agree with what Cece is saying. Everybody's so welcoming here, and pretty much everybody knows each other. Of course, there's always people you don't know, but everybody knows each other, and you have the whole Facebook buddy system, and then slowly and surely I gravitated to the Instagram. Reluctantly, because it's like, oh gosh, I don't want to be even longer on the phone. But then I find out that it kind of helps, because I end up finding acting gig through Instagram as well, that I would not have found on Facebook. So I I thought it was the right move to get my Instagram account and stuff. And then yeah, that was pretty much it.
Very cool. I'd love to hear more about the kind of roles you've auditioned for and been cast in. Sissy, you mentioned having the French accent or being able to do an Arabic accent. Could you speak a little more about the types of roles that you've auditioned for and been cast in?
Yes, for a very long time, I was torn because I would go to casting directors not workshops, but at the SAG Foundation, actually, SAG Conservatory, sorry, here in Atlanta. And, you know, trying to understand the whole, like I said, business side. So I've been hearing and listening to a lot of casting directors. One casting director, both casting directors, you know, as you know, one would say you have to get rid of your accent, and the other one would say no, you have to keep your accent. So I was like, which one it is, you know? And it's a lot of work, you know, when you're adult to work on your accent. So I was like, yeah, torn, very torn, until one day, New Year's Eve, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna embrace who I am. I'm going to be who I am, because a lot of people also in this industry tell us to be who you are. That's what they want to see. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. So I embraced who I was, including my accent. And another fun fact, in February, I don't remember which year it was, but I can check. But anyway, my agent calls me. I remember coming home at 10 a.m. in the morning, and she calls me and she says, can you be on set at 4 p.m. today? And they need a French speaker. A French actor, French nurse on set. I was like, what? Sure. Yes. That was the magic. So I feel like once I made the decision to embrace who I was with my French accent, doors opened somehow. And I was like, yeah, great. And I had auditioned for this casting director for many times, and without auditioning, they booked me for a role. And I arrived on set, and I was just curious, you know, I asked one of the PA what happened to the actress who was supposed. She said, there was actually the role was created this morning. So I was like, oh, okay. The magic, you know, the magic of life once you want to believe in yourself, who you are. And so speaking of the French accent, I was like, okay, so this was another sign of the universe telling me, yes, you're on the right track. So I kept working on that, on working on being articulate, obviously, but not get rid of the accent, working on that. And also, I'm Middle Eastern. I'm of Armenian descent. And I lived in Armenia for a year. I lived 3 years in Beirut. You know, I'm immersed in the Middle Eastern culture, and I understand also the subtleties of their languages and the culture. And somehow I also started to be cast. The other thing is Hebrew. I mean, I passed for Jewish. I'm considered ethnically ambiguous. I was also cast in a fantastic short film called Les Confinés as a French Jewish fugitive in World War II. And so, you know, I embraced my French accent there too, but, you know, the French accent is very similar to the Hebrew one. I did Persian roles. I had to work a little bit on the Persian accent, but then I also embraced the Arabic accent, and I was cast mostly in, interestingly enough, in Middle Eastern women with the Arabic accent, the French speaker speaking Arabic accent in English. It's funny when you think about it. But so I worked on the things that I knew. I wasn't an American. I grew up with American culture, you know. I mean, I watched movies and the movie, like everyone, movies and music, American influence. But it wasn't me, you know. So I'm like, I embraced it and I put my focus on that, and still being very niche. I didn't have a lot of auditions. There's not many auditions for French speakers, actually. I mean, there aren't really. There are a few, and interestingly enough, I rarely am selected for French authentic speakers. That's another
So
conundrum.
true.
It's
So
the
true.
conundrum, you know. I
So
mean,
true.
that's a conversation about authenticity in movies. Yeah, I don't look French, but I mean, I was born and raised there, and my accent is French. I mean, I speak French with no accent or whatever. But anyway, so interesting. And one day I was cast for a French role, and unfortunately I had COVID, so I couldn't be on set. That was funny. But very often I mean, all the French roles, they don't cast me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And
That's
at first you feel really bad about it because you think, okay, what's wrong with
yes. Yeah.
But I think it's because of the
Stereotypes.
perception of what it's supposed to be.
Physically, yeah.
And we don't correspond to that.
Yes.
And that's the weirdest thing because for me, I'm from Belgium, I'm authentic. You cannot get more, I'm not from Paris, but yet, and yeah,
Yeah,
and yet it doesn't matter.
Kathy, can you speak a little bit more about the kinds of roles that you're cast in?
Well, I think I tend to go towards character typing, like witches, I like vampire, I like everything that's on the weird side, but also like mother, but I like stuff that have a little bit more juice to it. So I have a friend with whom we film some short films and stuff. So that's very interesting. And then I have another friend of mine. I worked as a receptionist, and she told me has to be a very bubbly receptionist. So I just went all out and had so much fun with it. And I can actually say it's A Garden of Dreams from Joyce Licorice. And I had a good time. And she actually let me have a sentence in French at the end of my first scene. So I was super excited about that. So I definitely thank Joyce for that. And yeah, pretty much it.
Very cool. So these are some of the projects that you've been in. What can we look forward to seeing you in the future? Or what has come out most recently that we can watch your acting in?
For now, I have nothing to come. As we understand, the state of the industry is quite slow, unfortunately, but I was very blessed to be cast about a year ago in the latest Tyler Perry drama on Netflix called Beauty in Black. And it's the role of a nurse, and they didn't care about my accent. They were just, that's another thing, was picking back on the accent thing. And that's what the most recent job that I have. I also have a short film showing at the French Film Festival called Jeudi. And that's also what's coming up. I'm trying to think, and that's all. That's all from me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cece. Kathy, what can we look forward to seeing you in next?
Well, I have something that's already out. I had my first to be episode because I was cast as a cop in Silk White production, and it's called How Much Do You Love Me? And it's season 1, episode 2. And you can catch me quickly there as a cop, so go check it out. Some lines, obviously. So that was very, very interesting. And Silk White was very welcoming, and he actually enjoyed reading my accent, so he was not against that at all. So I was like, so thankful. And I also want to thank Brittany Passion to have helped me with the casting of this role. And then, like I talked about donors, where I'm going to be grieving mother. So whenever that's in platform, right now it's on donorsregistry.com. So you can go there and you'll be able to see all the episodes. And I'm in the first one. And so that's very cool. And there's something that we are filming this coming Tuesday, but that will be revealed in time. So that's the biggest part, yeah.
And when you look for inspiration, either for your acting career or just to keep going in a challenging industry, or some courage, or someone whose career you admire, where do you turn for inspiration?
Well, when I was a child, obviously, or younger, I looked up to actresses that I loved. Back then it was Sigourney Weaver, Meryl Streep, and then came Kate Winslet, and came Blanchett, and Nicole Kidman, and Juliette Binoche, and Marion Cotillard, and all these things. And then I realized that I'm nothing like them. So the inspiration came from my own life, my own experiences, my multilingual, multi-ethnical background. That's where, and life in general, just like you, living in different countries, living in different cultures, learning from them, just, understanding human nature as best as we can. And the best of all right now is, of course, taking classes as well, being inspired by what we learn in classes with the techniques and all, but then coming to your own thing And the best of all, right now, I'm a mother of a 4.5-year-old daughter, and there's a lot of learning in that too, inspiration of that too. So that's where I get inspired. It's really inside and outside, and just being à l'écoute. I don't know in English, à l'écoute. Just being open and receiving and being inspired by whatever. And connecting also, you know, to the true human. People are going through so many, you know, pain and joy as well. And just really listening and understanding what people are going through and putting that on film. So that's what inspires me also. It's everyone, really.
Very cool. Kathy, what's your inspiration?
Oh, I'm inspired by huge production, everything that's big and really out there, science fiction, like I've been really obsessed lately by Dune. And I never heard of those books. So I started to read them, and I've seen all the Dune so far. And through Dune, I find out about Timothée Chalamet, and I became quite obsessed with his act, the way he acts. And then I realized, I didn't know then, but he is half French. So I thought, okay, I have to watch Dune again, knowing that he was French. So, and that already, that was a big inspiration for me. And also like watching actors like Rebecca Ferguson and stuff like that, Naomi Watts, those are big role models for me. And Meryl Streep also, like you said, yeah. But growing up, it was Jean-Paul Belmondo. I absolutely adore him. His grandeur, the way he just is himself in so many dimensions. I want to say he's just so big. And I would really love to be able to be
the female Jean-Paul.
C'est ça. The female Jean-Paul Belmondo. Because the female Jean-Claude Van Damme would not work because I cannot do the spin. But so all those people inspire me really greatly because they are able to be on those big production and they make people dream and escape reality. Because when you watch Dune, it's an example, but when you watch Dune, for me, you don't think of the problems of life. You are in the movie, in their universe, and that's what I love, absolutely. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
And I would love to be a part of any kind of Dune series, spin-off or whatever, as one of those Bene Gesserit.
Well, Kathy, that's a fabulous transition into my next question for both of you. Kathy and Cece, what kinds of projects would you like to do next? Well, Dune, of course, to start with, but what else? What else would you like to do? What are you looking for?
Well, yeah, anything that's kind of a little bit out there, a little bit witchy, any kind of special effect, I would love that. Like I've recently auditioned for a very old, grumpy woman in a cave or something. And I know if I get called back or even if I get cast on that, they're gonna add special effect of fake teeth or whatever. But so we'll see. But I think that would be fascinating. And that's what I was talking at the beginning, the character type. Not everybody is born with a beauty. You know, you have the type that you have, and then you're growing older, you know, so you have to see where you're gonna fit. Now, of course, you always have the best makeup artist who can make you look the most beautiful. And so yeah, we know that, right? But I think it's also a lot of fun just to do character stuff, yeah. But yeah, to circle back to Dune, definitely, I would love one of those Bene Gesserit with those big, huge black hat on top of their head and that black veil in front of them. All for that, yeah.
Very cool. Thanks, Kathy. What about you, Cece? What would you like to be?
First, I have to say I admire people who can do that, because I have to admit, you know, my strengths and weaknesses, and one of my weaknesses is I can't, you know, sci-fi and all the things. I'm having a hard time with those. I don't know why. I don't know, but it's interesting to see. So not that for sure. But anything that, you know, talks about the human condition, really down to earth, connecting, taking the. Right now, I've been going back to watch more French movies than I used to in the past, because I feel like there's really a, you know, storyline. We take our time, you know, and but now what we're seeing in movie theaters or streaming online is, you know, a lot of Marvels and DC and, you know, those superheroes. I'm like, yeah, okay. But I personally would love to work on productions where we are really a team bringing a real story that's close to everybody's hearts, and talk about meaningful things, and really talk about the human condition, actually. That's what empowers me and want to bring the light on. And I think that's what I'm good at. I don't want to be arrogant, but I feel like I'm kind of down to earth and low key, and, you know, bring it down here, and instead of doing the big thing. But that's where my heart is, really. There's so many things to talk about. So, you know, from motherhood to, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's so many other things to talk about, and those movies I'd love to be part of. That's what I would love to, and yeah, build with a team. Yeah.
Wonderful. I have one last question for each of you. What advice would you give to aspiring actors? Whether it's here in Atlanta or in general, or for folks from the Francophone world looking to build a career in the US, what have you learned and what would you like to share?
Oh, I can start
Yeah,
with that.
Please.
Save money. Because it is so expensive to, in my opinion,
Yeah, no,
it is so expensive to get everything that you need to get even what I call to be able to compete at the bottom. Already just to
Yeah.
get there to compete at the bottom takes so much work, so much money, because those classes not cheap. They are not cheap.
What about the headshots?
And then you have the question of the headshots,
Oh, yeah.
exactly. And not only the question of the headshots, but how often you should make them. And also how many different types you should have. Because one headshot, that's not gonna be enough. So first you need to know your types. We talked about types, right? So figure out who you are, what you want to play. And then get those headshots that correspond to those different roles. Then for each of those headshots that correspond for different roles, you need to create a 30-second clip that matches those headshots. Those clips don't come easy if you go to somebody to do it. Don't come cheap either. You can be on independent film and get your clip from that. So that's one way to do it. But the other route also is to get somebody to do it professionally. And then once you have those clips attached to your different type of headshots, then you have somewhere where you can start. So that's the step 2, because the first one is taking the classes, right? And actually the very first one is to save your money to pay for all this, right? And then that's not even finished, because then you have to pay for all those sites you're supposed to be on. It's supposed to be on Actor Access, which is actually the cheaper
It's one of the
one.
cheapest, yes,
The
the
cheaper
more
one.
important, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's casting network. If you don't have casting networks here, the agent won't even look at you. Or once you get an agent, they're gonna say you need to get casting networks, because the thing is that in parallel of theatrical, it helps to also do commercial work, right? Because the fact is that many actors make their money first through the commercials, you know, before they can go further into the acting, theatrical things and stuff and get money from that. So I've actually seen clips on YouTube where guys, he made so much money doing commercials, but his real goal is to be an actor. But that's okay, because he's got his money coming from that, and he can use that money to do whatever needs to be done to be a working actor. So that's my view on that. Right?
From my point of view is whatever she said, but at the same time, it's her experience. It's funny because I haven't experienced that. What I'm saying is, my advice would be, listen to what people are saying, but don't take it as the grail. You know, it's not like the answer. That's what I've learned also throughout my years, is everybody's going to share their opinion, but it's just that, or experience, it's just that, because it's not at all what the industry is like. There's no recipe. My husband's a chef. We have a recipe. You follow, you buy the ingredients, you make the recipe, and you have that. And acting is not at all like that. It's, I'm gonna say it's you and your luck, really.
Yeah.
It's you and your luck. I mean, yes, of course, you prepare, you do your best, but keep going, no matter, I cannot tell you how many times in the past I wanted to give up acting. I was like, but somehow there was a little something in me that I couldn't, many times, for many different reasons, but I'm still here, still doing it. And listen to what everybody has to say, but don't give a F of what anybody says. Do you?
Yeah.
Uh,
Be you.
be you, do
agree.
you, be professional, be kind, be open, work if you want, you're off, but it's you and your luck at the end. That's how I feel like. I mean, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I keep going, so just put your head down and keep going.
But yeah, but like she said, it really depends. Everybody's got a different experience. But what I was talking about is what I've gathered so far that works. And but you can be maybe a younger person, a more beautiful person, or a more skilled at something person, and then you're gonna have a role right away. That's just you're gonna be very lucky. So that experience is gonna be different from other people's experience, right? But at the end of the day, what you really hope for as well is to get your agent. So thankfully, I struggled at first to get an agent, and I finally got one, and I absolutely love her. She's amazing, Emma Graves, and so far everything is doing great. So it's my first time, and I want to give it all that I got, because if I don't give it now, when am I going to give it? So if this is now for me the time to give it, what else am I going to do? I'm not going to let it go. So I continue to do what I can, and we'll see. As long as God give me many years on this planet, who's going to stop me from doing what I want to do, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the perspective to have about it. If you want it, you're here, you're alive, you're breathing. If you have possibilities, you have your headshots, you have your clips, you can self-submit, you have your agent submitting for you. Just do it.
Yeah.
And then even if it's something you have to wait till you're 70, even if your biggest role will come when you're 70, well, guess what? You'll have it when you're 70. And that's it. So that's my view on it. I'm patient.
Patience, yes.
Patience, yeah, be patient. Save money and be patient.
These are very wise pieces of advice from our actresses. Is there anything else that we didn't cover yet that you'd like to share with our film loving community?
Keep going to the movies, enjoying those stories we would like to bring to life, and supporting it. We live in difficult times for everyone, and I hear people say art is, crucial, and I don't know what to think about it, really. It's just life is hard. I just want to keep doing what I love doing. So I'm just hoping that our profession will still be alive in 5 years. We're all in a survival mode, and the majority. So my final word is, please keep pushing against or forward us telling the stories we want to tell, and be the artists we want to be, bringing back teamwork and creating magic somehow in a healthy way in the future, near future, sadly. So that's my final. I don't know if it makes sense or not, but
No, keep going to the movies.
keep going
that's
to
good
the
advice.
movies. pretty
Support
much.
art.
Yes,
Yes, I love that.
Yes.
Oh, wow. What else could I add to this? I just keep working, and just I think what I keep reading is just, if you're not working right now, just get together with people and create stuff, have somebody who can write a script, even if it's just a little short, and put it together, and because you're practicing. It's like riding your bike or doing whatever exercise, you keep practicing, you keep doing it so that you just don't stop. And then whenever you have an opportunity 5 years later, you can just stop, right? You have to just keep filming. So network, definitely super important. Network. And find yourself with people who like to create stuff and just do it. That's it.
That's beautiful advice. Keep creating, keep watching movies. Thank you so much, Kathy Wheeler, Cici Call here at the Alliance Francaise, who has generously sponsored our panel today, as well as the Atlanta French Film Festival. You can find more information at atlantafrenchfilm.com and more about Alliance programming at afatl.com. Don't forget to check out the French Short Films program. It's going to be this Thursday, March 27th. We also have a monthly Cine Club, so make sure you sign up to hear more. And we'd like to thank again our sponsor, Lesser Evil Popcorn. When you're going to the movies, make sure you grab some popcorn. Thank you again to our guests, and make sure you join us at the Terra Theater on April 5th for the Atlanta French Film Festival. $12 to get in, only $6 for students. We'll see you there at 2:30 p.m. at the Terra on April 5th. Thank you again to Clemence Bradley and to Pauline Kelsey-Johan for making this possible.
Thank
And to
you.
the love.
À bientôt. Merci.
Ainsi va la vie, c'est ainsi va la vie, 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 ainsi va la vie.